Männer, es war ein langer Krieg. Es war ein harter Krieg. Ihr habt tapfer und stolz für euer Vaterland gekämpft. Seid eine besondere Truppe, die ineinander.
Hey everyone, this is the Hydra Hut, and this is Venom, number 162. This is actually part 3 of Poison X, which has not been played out in the Venom comics at all. It's all been taking place in X-Men Blue. I haven't been reading X-Men Blue because honestly Marvel has been doing a shit job with the X-Men characters for a long time, and it's too painful to see characters I love treated that way. So I haven't been reading X-Men Blue. I may consider picking up their last issue and their next one just to see more of this story because I did like it. I have mixed feelings on Cullen Bunn. I like the way he does Venom for the most part, or I like the way he's handling him at least. But Cullen Bunn is the one who ruined Lobo in 2014 for DC's New 52. He's the guy that brought us Emo Lobo. And while I'm sure that was a decision brought to us by higher-ups in the DC company, it was still a really hard thing to get back into comics and see one of your favorite characters being turned into a simpering little bitch, basically. But I've actually been thinking about doing some videos on those Lobo because there's kind of some interesting stuff if you actually read all 14 issues. They take a very PC line until like issue 9, and then suddenly it does this hard left-hand turn. The character changes, starts looking like Kurt Russell, and the writing suddenly got way better. The art got way more dynamic. It was interesting. But this is Venom. We're going to talk about Venom. So, because I had no idea what was happening, this introductory story actually was quite helpful. Let's go ahead and catch everybody up, because I'm just going to assume nobody's reading X-Men Blue. Cyclops' father, Corsair, has been kidnapped by the mercenary Killer Thrill and her gang of criminals, all sporting alien symbiotes with few options. The X-Men abducted Venom and brought him to the remote Karateth spaceport, the last known location of Corsair's ship. Anyway, basically, the X-Men have been infected with Venom symbiotes. There is a symbiote hunter who is trying to hunt down these symbiotes so he can sell them on the open market. X-Men are trying to prevent that. The symbiotes that took them are all basically urging the X-Men to help them do what they do. X-Men grabbed Eddie Brock, brought him in because he's very experienced with the Venom symbiotes. He didn't want to help him, but they didn't really give him much choice. One real cool thing about this is, so lately Venom has been kind of nerfed a bit. He's not nearly as violent and venomy as he used to be. But this one, he actually gets pretty dark. I like it. Also, there's a lot of really good banter between the X-Men, which I really liked. Like, Cyclops is actually a badass like he's supposed to be, which is great, because Cyclops is my boy. He's always been the leader of the X-Men for me. And we see a lot of action between the symbiote hunter and the X-Men, and he's basically just having his way with the X-Men throughout this whole thing. And they do a fair job with the dialogue. If you haven't been reading the X-Men Blue comics, on keeping you up. I mean, I knew what was going on without having read anything, for the most part. All pretty well introduced and covered, at least. Sorry about that. Artwork is fantastic. Check out Beast. It's looking cool. So throughout this, everybody's basically making jokes about how Beast looks like a demon, because the symbiotes bring out basically who you are on the inside. And there's just this devastating scene between Hank and Iceman that is just brilliant. Here's one of the spots where Venom starts really showing his form. So this guy right here, he's our symbiote hunter, and he is just spanking the hell out of the X-Men and their symbiotes. Anything they try and do, he just counters it and schools them hard. Eddie Brock, his Venom's a little bit more experienced. It knows not to rely just on its abilities, and he sneaks up and just manhandles this guy, which is fantastic. It's always nice to see Eddie, well, your main character, being a badass in his own book. That's what you want to see. Here we go. So Hank's the first one that really starts understanding how the symbiotes work. After they've finally, after Eddie has finally put this guy down, we get this right here. This is where we finally get to see Venom acting like Venom. Afraid you're done using your gadgets of yours. You got your licks in now. And then, so usually when the symbiote and Eddie are talking between themselves, they do a little bit better job dividing it up, but they still look the same, except Eddie's is much more jagged bubbles. The symbiote is like a monologue bubble. And the symbiote's freaking out because this guy says he knows him, even though the symbiote doesn't recognize the guy at all. But here we see Venom just being dark. Urgh, love it. Anyway, X-Men don't want Eddie to kill the guy because the X-Men don't kill. He kind of throws a little temper tantrum because they basically kidnapped him and now they're trying to control him. And he's like, I don't even want to be here, and you guys are trying to make me follow your rules. I'm not you guys. I don't know why the color is like this. Is it too much natural lighting? Not enough natural lighting? I don't know. It's weird. Oh well, whatever. Whatever. Okay. Eventually they decide not to kill him. Cyclops is being extremely cold, which is cool. I really like Venom Cyclops in this. They question him, find out what he did with the symbiotes, find out that Cyclops' dad isn't actually dead yet, and then they find out how they're going to track down the symbiotes because this Hunter guy put tracking devices in them. I posted some of this on Twitter, on the Twatter, but I want you guys to see this because this is just amazing. You don't get this kind of dialogue in Marvel Comics usually. So I got a lot of respect for Cullen putting this in. So, of course, like I said, they've been giving Hank issues about being looking like a demon. And so here we have Bobby. Let me guess, Hank. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me guess, Hank. You're going to conjure a bunch of little demons to act as IT specialists? Hilarious, Bobby. Those demon jokes never get old. Tell me, if the symbiotes enhance who we really are, why is it you're becoming invisible? Crushed! Crushed! Oh, he just devastated Bobby. And of course, yeah, don't be so mean to Bobby. Oh, this page alone is all the reason you need to read this comic. We finally get to meet these villains who bought the symbiotes. We might have seen them in X-Men Blue. I don't know. They're pretty cool looking, a lot more buggy, very spacey. And we also meet Corsair, who is apparently Cyclops' father. Which, I always thought Cyclops' father was Nathan Summers, who is... Yeah, I thought his father was Nathan Summers, not this dude named Corsair, who doesn't look like the Nathan Summers I've seen. I imagine I would hope that's covered in X-Men Blue. I don't actually know. Where we end, though, is basically our thrill killer talking to Corsair, telling him that Scott's dead. It's pointless to think that somebody's going to save him. But Corsair is like, oh, you don't know my son. If you didn't kill him personally, then he's on his way right now. And we jump back to the ship where everybody is now on their way to meet these villains with the symbiote suits. And we get a nice bit of drama between Eddie Brock and Scott Summers, which is great because Scott needs some conflict. He's either got conflict with Wolverine, he's got conflict with a woman. He needs some sort of conflict in his life to basically offset the rest of his character. And this is nice because so far everybody's been kind of, I don't know. Now that Scott is seen as a Nazi world destroyer, everybody's kind of a douche to him. So it's nice to see some sort of conflict that isn't them just emotionally ragging on him. Anyway, it's not going to get too much into why they're getting in a conflict. I'll let you guys read that to find out. Here is the digital code. Let's see if we can do this with my left hand. I failed pretty hard last time. Gonna crinkle up my freaking book. Get some. Get some. So I'm trying to use the camera. All right, I can't. Ah! All right. So if you manage to stick it out through my retarded attempts at pulling this fucking sticker off, here's your code, marvel.com/redeem. Type this in. First person to do it's get us a free copy of Venom 162. I don't get a lot of views on my videos, so if you check out my Venom 161 review, the code might still be up and available. From now on, anytime I get a comic with a digital code, I'm just going to go ahead and post it. I already paid the money on the physical. I don't need a digital copy as well. Back to the story. Wraps up with the boys, and then we see the scene of the North Stars guarding a prison. They're actually guarding this bounty hunter that was hunting the symbiotes. We basically see everybody just get murdered, and that guy's cell door open up and find out that somebody's there to help him. I haven't been reading X-Men 23. I don't know who this guy is. He looks badass. But we find out that this guy is going to use the help of this symbiote hunter to track them people down. So, all in all, I'd say it's good. You don't actually have to read X-Men Blue to understand what's happening, but it probably would help. If they're written as well as these, I'd recommend it. I talked to my buddy, and he says that Cullen Bunns writing them as well. I guess it really boils down to if you like Cullen Bunns writing. If you like it, then you'll like these. If you don't think Cullen Bunns a good writer, you probably won't like these. Or if you're tired of them venomizing every goddamn thing at freaking Marvel, then you're not going to like this either. But I'll give it a recommend. Thanks for watching. Hail Hydra.